Namaste. Welcome you all to this another video. And this being tax audit season, lots of discussions are going on. And mostly on one of the clauses of Form-3CD, that is clause 44. So in this video, I'll try and share my views on this clause 44. To start with, one of the questions which have been talked about much about is whether it is applicable for the financial year 21-22, that is assessment year 22-23. The answer is, of course, yes, it is applicable. It is reportable. It is not extended. So now you have to see that when the SSC is giving the details in this clause 44, the auditor has to ensure and verify those details. So second question which is coming is whether an SSC who is not registered under GST, say advocates, or whose turnovers are less than the limits, or whose are under the tax-free items and not required to take the GST registration, for them also this detail is required. The answer is yes. The details are to be given of the SSC for the expenditure incurred on the entities, right? So it is given to be given for all. Another question which is coming, that how this detail is to be given, because the detail is required for two type of entities. In fact, the entities who are registered into GST and entities who are not registered into GST. So your total expenditure, one portion with expenditure on those entities who are registered under GST and those entities who are not registered into GST. For the entities who are registered into GST, again, four details are sought for. First one, that those entities where the assessee has incurred an expenditure for the tax-free goods. Tax-free goods, or there is nil rate of duty, where the expenditure is on the person who is registered in the GST, but that item is exempt. Second one is where the expenditure is incurred on an entity who is registered into GST but is into composition dealer. So the GST is not separately charged. Third item into is that the other ones. Other ones means those invoices on which the GST is specifically charged separately. So it is neither tax-free nor composition, and then the GST is charged on the third item. And the fourth column, which says total payment, but in fact it is the total of the first three, that is the exempt, the composition, and the others. So in the item number 4, for that registered, you have to give the total of the first three. Now another question which is very coming on is whether the expenditure is to be given for revenue expenditure only or the capital expenditure too. The answer to this is yes, of course. Total expenditure details to be given, whether it is revenue expenditure or capital expenditure. Another question which one has to be very careful in understanding, that the details of the expenditure is to be given. So anything which is an allowance, like doubtful debts, like depreciation, these are not expenditures, these are allowances. So these are not to be given. And also it is not the nature wise that you have to give, you have to give in aggregate. Another point which is very, very important to note is that the detail is to be given of the entity which is either registered into GST or not registered into GST. So the entity means a person who is doing a commercial activity. Take an example in case of an individual who is rendering, who is employed into that SSC. Say he is getting salary. So salary is an expenditure, but that individual is not an entity. So such expenditures like salaries are not to be given. Or another example could be interest on loans taken from individuals who are not registered into GST, who are not into the business of that, but interest from bank is to be given. So these things you have to take care. And please see that there is no requirement per se in this clause 44 that you have to reconcile that with profit loss or balance sheet. It would of course not reconcile. So don't worry about that. And wherever the assessee is giving this detail, then please verify it. Where he is not able to give, then auditor knows under the standards and auditing what they have to report accordingly. I hope this small video would be of help in fulfilling the duties for the auditors and for the assessees to prepare the details and give to the auditors for the auditing. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you. Namaste.